She just took Rada out. Yo. Old reflex. Dude. She's lying in her own blood. No. Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and you're watching my review for Freezing Vibrations, episode 10. And with this one, we get a lot of stuff happening. The fights end, but first, well, not first, but the first relatively important thing, the first thing that we actually care about that happens, is we see Amelia, Satella, and the others running into Chiffon. And Chiffon is pretty much just talking down to them the whole time. You know, Satella mentions how Chiffon never stops smiling until she gets serious, in terms of like when she's fighting. And they want to make her get serious so that she stops looking down on them. They want to prove to her that they are worth worrying about. Plus, they want to just hold her back so that Amelia can, like, what she does. Amelia does end up leaving, but they want to hold her back as long as possible so that Amelia gets to where she wants to go. And then we see after this, Julia Moonberg and Cassie, they're fighting. Julia ends up making this pointless bet with her so that she can do whatever she wants to Cassie after the fight ends. And the reason I'm saying it's pointless is because she doesn't win because she gets one-shotted. Pretty much. She gets one-shotted. Cassie ends up doing the quintuple excel and going beyond Mach 3, being faster than her sonic waves, and then one-shotting her, which is annoying because this is looking like one of those situations where the good guys always win, even when they're outclassed, which is annoying. Alright, but most of the fight was off screen too, so that's why I'm assuming it was a one-shot, because we didn't see anything, so what else am I supposed to think? Like, the entire time, it was just like whatever. She pretty much, I'm just going to say she gets one-shotted, because that makes it sound worse. But, other than the Julia Moonberg stuff, most of the focus on this episode is with Elizabeth and Char. And Char's dominating her pretty much, until Andre unleashes his stigmata. He gets the marks on his face and his arms and fingers and everything, and he practically kills himself in order to let Elizabeth win. And by unleashing his stigmata and doing this, his freezing becomes incredibly strong, and Char can't escape. She's frozen. And Elizabeth is able to hit her because Char, her limiter, I forgot his name, it was something stupid that started with a C, like Citron or something like that. But he is completely useless. He did practically nothing the entire time. He just sat there and watched. You know, like, well, good job, man. Sit there and watch as your Pandora gets shot in the stomach by a laser. Good job. But she could have at least tried to counter the freezing. But whatever. Like I said, Elizabeth hits her with her stigma satellite system thing in the stomach and beats Char, even though she doesn't deserve to win because Char is stronger than her. Unbelievable. Like this is like I said, this is one of those things where the good guys always win, which is stupid. Because the good guys are in the wrong. They're in the wrong. Char, Julia, Chiffon, they are on the side that is right. Okay, did they even think about what would happen if Amelia does accomplish her goal? She's going to go out into the public and release these records, and he's going to transform into a Nova, start destroying the city, killing all these innocent people. Great plan, alright? Great plan. They didn't even think it through. Unbelievable. And the fact they fail to realize what Chevalier, what the secretary, Mark Spencer, what his... It's just so frustrating. It's just so frustrating to see Elizabeth's face acting like she Like she thinks she's right when she's not. Well, she's not acting. She really does think she's right, and that makes it even worse. She thinks she's right when she's dead wrong. It's ridiculous. She has no clue what she's doing, but she talks so big, like she thinks. Oh, God, it's so frustrating. But let me just stop talking about this. Go back to Chiffon. The one enjoyable part of the episode is Chiffon. She's pretty much dominating Satella and Rana, and she realizes that she's not going easy enough on them. So she tries to go easier on them, and Rana and Satella, they end up working together really well. And while Satella does get half of her vault weapon broken, Rana does manage to get a punch in on Chiffon, which is the scene we saw in the opening. They pretty much took the scene right out of the opening. So you can call that lazy if you want. Personally, I don't really care that much, but whatever. She delivers what was it called, a burning fang or something like that. She delivers that to Chiffon in the side, but Chiffon on reflex, boom, just like hammers her down into the ground. That was high impact too. It came out of nowhere. You saw my reaction to it in the beginning, and it was just epic. She just she just slams into the ground, blood pouring out of her head, just lying there in the pool of her own blood, motionless. Like, and Chiffon's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to go to hit you that hard. So it was just a reflex, you know. Your attack surprisingly did hurt a tiny bit, you know. So Chiffon is just too cool. She's too cool for school, man. She's too cool for Chevalier. She's a true Pandora, as she says in the end of the episode, which is not just something she made up. It actually does mean something, but you'll get to that within the next couple episodes. I don't know if it has 12 or 13 episodes. I'll look it up at some point. But Rana does eventually get back up, and she grows out her wings, unleashes her stigmata, and Satella does the same. And before we get back to the rest of their fight, we do switch back to Elizabeth and Char. I already talked about the fight already, but right now I'm just going to talk about the flashback because I kind of skipped over that before. But we find out that Char isn't Secretary Spencer's biological daughter. She was adopted, pretty much, and she became a Pandora in order to help him, in order to help Secretary Spencer. So, you know, and it's not like he wanted her to become a Pandora. Like, it's just she was the ideal Pandora, and he couldn't not ask her. I mean, look, it's his job to help Chevalier and get good Pandora, and then, you know, help save the world. You know, so he couldn't not ask. But he was not. He was hurt having to ask. He was sitting there, you know, just head in his hands, and he just did not like having to ask her. And she ends up saying yes because she wants to help him, help Chevalier, help humanity. Yeah, there we go. I think that's right. She wanted to help him, help Chevalier, help. Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's right. But when Secretary Spencer's looking at all these screens and he sees Char hurt, and lying on the snow, he's clearly affected by this, more so than we would think. This facade that he puts up, where he's this tough guy who doesn't mind hurting anybody, you know, as long as it accomplishes his goal, he drops that facade for a second, unwillingly. It's just natural for him because his daughter is hurt, and he's like, oh no, Charles, you know. So we get to see the real him that Elizabeth doesn't, and the others don't know about. But you know, Elizabeth knows everything. At least she thinks she does. So the facts don't matter. But whatever. Finally we get back to Chiffon and Satella, which is pretty much the rest of the episode. Not really, but there's a little bit at the end there. But the rest of the episode is mostly Chiffon versus Satella and Rana, and we get to see how useless Kazuya is. He's just watching Satella and Rana get beaten up. You know, come on, like he's freezing. Do something. Try to stop Chiffon. Don't just stand there and watch as your two girls are beaten up. Like, come on, man. you're Satella's limiter. What happened to the Kazi from the manga? right? The one who stood up to Lewis and said, you know what? I am willing to die for Satella because that's what it means to be her limiter. What happened to that Kazuya? Now he's just sitting there watching her get beaten up. Like, oh well. Come on. Anime Kazuya is so bad, I swear. You know, Satella and Rana, they're going all out, but they're still not winning. I mean, they punched Chiffon into the ground. So, I mean, I guess in Kazuya's defense, it looked like they were winning. But we get another scene out of the opening right here when Chiffon just stabs up and gets Rana. And she stands back up, and she's not hurt at all. And we get to see her facial expressions, and we see why she's called the monster. And after all of that, she's still smiling. She's still smiling. So she has yet to get serious, and she still isn't hurt after all their attacks, in their strongest mode, with their stigmata unleashed. And this is when Chiffon says that she's a true Pandora, which you should remember, especially if there's a third season, which wouldn't happen for a long time because there's not enough material in the manga yet. So, but they'd have to wait a few more years. But Chiffon, she's amazing. She was the highlight of this episode, you know. But unfortunately, the episode doesn't end there. Unfortunately, it would have been great if that was. It would have been great if Chiffon was the entire episode, but fortunately, she wasn't. And with the ending of the episode, we get Amelia. She makes it to. She's almost at the lab where Scarlet is, and these three Chevalier Pandora show up with Rattle's weapon, talking about how Rattle's killed. She was killed off screen, but I mean, like, no one really cares because it's Rattle. I mean, if her death was off screen, then it obviously wasn't that important. So if they don't care, why should I? You know. But it would have been more. It would have made more of an impact if instead of bringing her vault weapon, they brought her head instead. Like on some Hakuryu status crap right there. Just bring her head over, throw it at Amelia's feet. That would have been epic. That would have made me care about the scene. But unfortunately, they didn't do that. Amelia still gets mad though. She changes into a Nova form actually, so she's progressing into a Nova much faster, on her own will actually. And she killed, or not? Well, she doesn't kill them. I don't think. Pandora can get a bunch of parts of their body cut off and still survive. So I don't know, just stabbing them through the stomach like that probably isn't enough to kill them. But apparently, Satella got a couple holes in her hands, and she had to go somewhere else to get treatment. So, oh no, maybe they won't get treatment in time, and they'll actually die. Gotta love anime original crap, right? But just to finish this review off, because I'm kind of getting tired of talking about the boring parts of this episode that no one cares about. Now that the part with Chiffon is over, there's not much left to look forward to in this review, so I'm just going to finish it off by mentioning that Scarlet and Amelia do end up meeting, and Amelia ends up being surprised seeing all the test tubes and everything. And yeah, that's how the episode ends. Overall, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. And the only reason I'm giving it that high is because Chiffon was in it. Everything else in the episode was disappointing, though. Julia losing, Cassie winning the way she wants, just typical not friendship power. Yeah, pretty much friendship power-up stuff. It's her friendship and her desire to help out a friend that allowed her to randomly get stronger in the middle of a fight. Conveniently get stronger in the middle of a fight with the exact power-up she needed in order to win, you know. So, Elizabeth won too. That's the most disappointing thing of them all. That's the most disappointing one, Elizabeth winning and still thinking that she's right even after hearing parts of the truth. God. The episode was just disappointing, but Chiffon saved it a tiny bit, so I'll give it a 6 out of 10 and say it was an okay episode. But that's it for now, you guys. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.